tuning into Let's Talk About It Media 21. Like, comment, and subscribe. We talk hot topics, trending topics, and everything that's going on in the world. So, get to some news in regards to what's going on in the world. So, like the video, subscribe to the page. Um, but yeah, thanks for tuning into Let's Talk About It Media 21. Just give me a second while I do my disclaimer, set myself up. Busy morning, but great morning. Got a lot done. There's a lot going on, but we're going to get into it. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for always supporting, showing love in the comments. I appreciate all the kind comments. It's amazing. Every now and then, you know, people will come in and try and be rude, but we don't focus on that. But we're going to get to the hot topics, trending topics, and figure out and talk about what's going on. We're going to do Trump news. We're going to talk Diddy Trump. Was it actual that he was thinking about it? The White House is actually calling out TMZ. Many people are not surprised about that. TMZ has been called out a few times lately. So just give me a second to get into my screen. But I hope everyone's doing well. Okay. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. We're going to get straight into hot topics, trending topics. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. Come on in. Come on in. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here and thanks for supporting. Okay. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here. You guys, we're going to go ahead and get straight into the video. Like the video as you guys come in. I appreciate everyone for being here and spending time with us. As you know, we do hot topics, trending topics. We talk a little bit about Trump and what's trending in media. We just cover a wide variety just to kind of keep everybody updated. So let's get straight into the clip.
Let me escort you through it. It's been 3 weeks since Senate Democrats cast the first vote against funding the government. With no sign of a breakthrough on all these health care and Obamacare issues, President Trump is hosting Senate Republicans for lunch in the brand newly renovated, he said, Rose Garden.
And did you know that this next CR would expire a month from today? So here we go. Senate Majority Leader Thune with his diagnosis of a stalemate.
Of course, the biggest driver of the shutdown is not health care or any other issue. It's the Democrats' far left base. Left-wing activists demanded a showdown with President Trump. Democrats fell in line.
Chad programs on Capitol Hill. Any movement, Chad?
Well, you know, most tours of the Capitol are closed in because of the shutdown, but let me escort you through the government shutdown tunnel this morning. The White House meeting with Republicans is important, but Democrats say nothing will happen until the president negotiates.
Donald Trump definitively needs to get involved. He needs to get off the sidelines. Donald Trump clearly wants the government shut down. He wants to inflict pain on the American people, and this will not change until Donald Trump gives Republicans permission to sit down with Democrats.
Now, the lunch at the White House with Senate Republicans and the president is not a negotiation. This comes as Republicans dare Democrats to block a bill paying essential federal workers later this week.
Thune decided to bring up these bills this week to pay certain groups and by definition not pay other groups. I was a little surprised. It's kind of risky. It could get wild and woolly.
Tens of thousands of federal workers are on the job without paychecks. There are concerns about air traffic controllers and TSA. Republicans believe the pay issue will begin to pressure Democrats to drop their resistance.
If they're open for paying all federal workers, then why don't they just reopen the government? What else is really left if they're not fighting to what? They're trying to keep the EPA closed at that point then?
The Senate has now blocked the GOP funding bill 11 times. There's no urgency to end the shutdown because both sides believe they are winning, and that likely remains the case until there's a crisis. Dan?
Okay, Chad, thank you. In a matter of minutes, we will take you live to the White House Rose Garden Club, where President Trump is set to meet with Republican senators amid the shutdown. How long will the shutdown go on? We are in week 3. Kevin Hassett, though, has said that he believes the shutdown will likely end this week, but there are not public signs of a breakthrough just yet. We hope to get an update from the president. We'll bring you there live when we see him. You know, Brett, we don't see the public indications that Democrats are willing to work with Republicans. I just listened to Chuck Schumer, for instance, but the White House, at least through Kevin Hassett's broadcast, maybe this week.
Yeah, and I think there's just this optimism that they think they can move the needle. There have been a couple of moderate Democrats in the Senate who have shifted votes. Remember, they've taken this vote again and again and again and again, probably 3 times in a week. Now we're on our 3rd week. So, you know, they start adding up, and they're hoping to chip away. All they need is a couple more, and they can break the filibuster.
Yeah, Laura, it feels like the endless search for the moderate Democrat. You know, you have John Fetterman, you have a few senators who come on board, but they need 5 senators. If just 5 senators said, hey, yep, I'm in a partner, pass a clean CR, 13 times under the Biden administration. Yeah, well, you would think you would have more.
Good morning, Anonymous.
It's kind of shocking that
thanks for being here.
Among the most common sense Democrats out there, when you go
I'm going to start pinning the message. There we go.
A lot of sense, and I'll tell you what, if they want
Thanks
to
for
play
being
chicken
here.
with Donald Trump, I'll remind them that Donald Trump oversaw, as you remember, Kaylee, 35 days of a shutdown back during his first term in office. He wants to make sure the right things happen. He's not willing to cave. The Republicans are not willing to cave. They're going to make sure that the right things happen. And I think they want to know that the Democrats are going to come to the table to negotiate in good faith. And that's what we should all expect. Without doubt. And, you know, Harris, as soon as I get indication that President Trump is speaking, we will take our viewers there. These moments are important. Chuck Schumer indicated, you know, this is a party, I think is what he called it. So Democrats are trying to message this. They're saying, where's Mike Johnson? But as a reminder, the House has no role in this until the Senate passes the CR.
I don't know if there are many people outside of Chuck Schumer who have such an enviable inability to read the room. But he does, and so he can't figure out that this is not fun for millions of people, and it would sound like his lack of being funny makes it sound like he just doesn't care. I would say, though, I see it a little bit differently. I don't think this is Democrats, you know, pushing back against Republicans pushing back. Democrats are pushing against themselves in this whole thing. This is like watching a family fight get out of control.
Like the video, like the video. Yeah, I should have went live Sunday. I'm going to have to get back into that algorithm real quick.
Watching a family fight get out of control, and that's different. They should keep that stuff in their house, solve it in a different way, and leave the American people out of it, because the Republicans have said that they will sit down, they will talk, but they're not going to renegotiate a deal that the House made and hand it to the Senate so that they could pass a clean CR. You don't get a redo just because your politics tell you that this is a tough moment for you. So I don't agree that the two sides are going against each other. No, the Democrats are in like a navel-gazing frenzy.
Appreciate you, sis. I hope all is well with you.
Their own house, but they're taking it outside. They're making it everybody else's problem. Look, I don't know if President Trump can negotiate an end to this deal, but he did the Middle East. He's going to try with Ukraine and Russia. I think maybe he gets involved at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he might. Look, he worked with Hamas and negotiated that deal, so I have no doubt he could take on Senate Democrats. Look, Emily, John Thune has said the House may indeed need to come back and pass a new CR, one that pushes the funding past mid-November. Because as we're looking at this, each day that goes forward, that CR becomes shorter and shorter, the amount of spending and funds.
Well, and again, the application to real-world Americans, they are sick of the hopscotch, of the cobbled quilt. Look, at the risk of being basic, Congress has 2 functions: fund the government, draft your laws. And they are utterly failing the American people and their constituents. I agree with you that they are destroying themselves, because this will come back tenfold in the midterms and in the next presidential elections. And I hope, to that point, what's going to change? Because we know they've voted 13 times for the same stuff. So what's different now? I hope it's a crisis of conscience. I hope it's them looking their constituents in the eye, and the military members and the government workers in the eye, and saying, I'm so sorry I let you down, and it stops today. I'm not holding my breath. But at the same time, we know in this scenario who the villains are and who have abdicated their duty. And it makes me sick to my stomach that they get to enjoy their paychecks, that we pay, and they get to enjoy dinner with their families. And there are right now many Americans who don't have that luxury because of them.
I will say, there is a lot of tape out there where Democrats were calling for a clean continuing resolution, and Republicans were fighting on Obamacare, Ted Cruz saying we have to make changes, and it was exactly opposite. And we have all the tape of the Democrats saying, let's pass this clean continuing resolution and fund the government first. So there has been that in the past. They are not there right now. And we are always one fiscal cliff away. We seem to be, just as to Emily's point, piecing it all together. There's a regular order call that they pass bills, they do it through committees. We haven't been there in a long, long time.
No, we haven't. And I think Democrats are sorely miscalculating here. Trump's net approval, as CNN pointed out, has gone up by 1%. And you don't have the same kind of blame for the president you saw during the 2018-2019 shutdown. So maybe they're having a bad case of deja vu, but it's 2025, guys. Polling looks a bit different. All right, as soon as the president comes out to the Rose Garden Club, we will take you to that. His big remarks as we enter week 4 coming up pretty soon of the government shutdown. We'll see how long that lasts, but for now, we're outnumbered.
Like the video, like the video.
Jessica Love, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is the 5. Open mic at the Rose Garden. President Trump was throwing back Diet Cokes in the Oval, then stepping out to serve up some insults as he hosted a lunch with Republican senators. In the beautifully renovated space, 47 blasting the Democrats for keeping the government shut down and sicking Darth Vader on them.
Darth Vader, you know Darth Vader, right? Darth Vader is a man who, I think he's sitting right. Is that Darth? Stand up, please, Darth Vader. Stand up. Does everybody know? They call him Darth Vader. I call him a fine man. But he's cutting Democrat priorities, and they're never going to get him back.
But Darth will be the least of the Democrats' worries because the base wants to see heads roll. If anyone caves, according to The Hill, Democrat senators are, quote, terrified of getting the guillotine if they vote to end the shutdown. Meanwhile, the No Kings boomers might break a hip after hearing this news. President Trump is winning the shutdown battle, and the numbers prove it. This shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown. And despite the fawning coverage of the No Kings protests, Crazy Bernie actually thinks the media is on Trump's side.
What they are trying to do, and I touched on this a little bit in my remarks, is to say to ordinary people, hey, look, we got ICE agents breaking down doors. We got U.S. troops in Portland and Chicago. We're powerful. We are really powerful. You got nothing. Who are you? We got Elon Musk. We got all of the billionaires on our side. We own the media. Our people are buying elections. You can't run against us because we have so much money. And by the way, we control it all. You're nothing. Go home. Who the hell do you think you are?
All right, so Jessica, that poll just goes right in your face because you always say how the Democrats are winning the shutdown battle, and it doesn't look like it.
Well, that poll was about Donald Trump's personal approval rating. And when I saw this in our packet, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be some enormous number. And then it was +1. And there's also, from the same time during the shutdown, the AP poll, which has him at his lowest second-term approval at 37%. So, take it for what you will. Harry Ensign was back on TV this morning with one that I feel like would be in your face. He said, I was shocked to see how Dems have gained on party ID per Gallup. Dems lead by 7 points versus a tie at the start of the year. Looks a lot more like 2018 cycle than 2022. 2018, I like that very, very much. But the shutdown is about the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. Greg will taunt me about 2028, but Donald Trump will not be on the ballot. If he is, then the TDS is going to be through the roof. And Republicans are losing the shutdown battle between 10 and 15 percentage points. The American public blames them for it because they are the ones that are in charge. They are in charge of every facet of government, and they have to compromise to get something done. They have to come to the table. And Mike Johnson has been having these calls with his caucus, and members from all over the country are saying to him, we want to at least come back to work. He's keeping the government closed. He's not bringing them back. So that they can't even
this is in the Senate. It doesn't have anything to do with the House.
But you need the House to vote on
after
opening
the
government.
Senate goes.
Yeah, I understand.
You guys in the Senate are not voting to open the government. Isn't that right, Kayla?
Well, we don't
Do I
need
have
to.
that correct?
They're not making a compromise with us. You don't have the numbers, then get 60
You don't have
senators.
the issue.
What? We do. Healthcare, actually, the voters actually trust us on it. They're wondering where your concepts of a plan are taking us.
You would have won the White House.
That's not
You don't have any power in Washington.
Trump is minus 36 on healthcare.
And you're minus 897 on
Oh,
everything.
that sounds official.
Fact checks. Number 1, Harry Ensign went on to say fewer than half are blaming Trump for the shutdown. So we did have shutdowns in his polling. Number 2, Donald Trump and Barack Obama's net approval ratings on average are about the exact same. At this point in their second term, both hovering around 45%. Joe Biden was 43% worst approval since going back to Carter. So Trump's doing fine in the polls. Number 2, you say we have no health care plan. Mike Lawler has put together a plan with 13 Democrats. He says let's extend the subsidies for a year and figure out how to bring down health care that have skyrocketed since
What does Mike Johnson
Where
say
is
about
Chuck
that?
Schumer? Where is Hakeem Jeffries partnering with them? They're not. What they're doing instead is refusing to pass a CR 12 times. To Jesse's point, 12 times the Senate has voted down the CR. 13 times Senate Democrats voted for CRs during Biden's tenure. The only thing that has changed is the president. They won't come to the table on health care. And then finally, the last thing I would say is John Thune said, let's pay the military, let's pay workers. Democrats said, no, we're going to shoot that down. They are maximizing pain to cater to the radical left-wing socialists animating Mamdani and the entirety of your party.
Dana Perino.
Yes. Well,
Oh, no, go right ahead.
well, I said at the very beginning when this started that we know how this ends. And it's just the Democrats are deciding to draw out the pain. Right? The suffering is optional, and they are taking the option. Government shutdowns, whoever wants to reopen the government, that's the side that wins. President Trump wants to reopen the government. Therefore, the president is winning by a little, but also the Democrats aren't doing anything to help themselves. When is the last time you saw a Democrat on TV making a compelling case? They change the topic all the time. You know, I'm a podcast enthusiast. I listen to a bunch. Listen to a Democrat today. Some great ideas about social media and about the state of the Democratic Party. Never once do they talk about healthcare or the situation with the shutdown. It's not even on the front page of any of the papers. I checked today with friends who live in Virginia, especially Northern Virginia, where there's that big gubernatorial race. It's not in any of the ads. They're talking about abortion and Jay Jones. So to me, the consultants or the people who are spending money on the issues, they know that it is not working for them. But the closer we get to the cutoff for military families not getting money or air traffic controllers getting that zero on their paycheck, that's when everybody collectively might have a little bit more pain. The Democrats might find a way to find 10 senators to strategically allow them to do this, because the fever pitch for wanting the shutdown happened last March when Chuck Schumer went ahead and did the vote for the CR. And then all of the progressives started saying, AOC, you have to primary him. We have to get him out. Hence, we are in this position. So how long do they want to draw out the pain in order to play Chuck Schumer's game?
Yeah, let's get the likes up, you guys. There's 64 in the building. Double tap that screen for me. Double tap that screen. Like the video as you guys come in. It's going to be a struggle to get my back into the algorithm, but I'll get there.
Greg, what are your thoughts on the clean CR?
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, I've been waiting for months to say that. Well, it's a good question. Now, you know what I always say? Polls are for nerds and strippers. And I'm fresh out of nerds.
This is the easiest bra to wear for seniors. I know it's hard for us to wear back hook bras, but this bra can be closed from the front, on off in less than 5 seconds. Thoughtfully made for seniors with mobility challenges. No more twisting and turning. Made from 100% cotton, so the fabric is super soft, stretchy, and breathable. That means no irritation, no chafing, and friendly to my sensitive skin. Not to mention the wide elastic straps. I can wear it all day with zero shoulder pain. This bra is so comfortable, I barely notice I have it on. This is honestly the only bra I need. This bra is currently on a massive summer sale with 80% off. Now also available in solid versions. Shop now.
Like the video, like the video.
And I'm fresh out of nerds. Just wrote that down. Look, the politicians' biggest fear is that people realize much of what the government does is not essential. The government was created purely for things that we cannot do. The essentials, like military, not trans, military. But over time, it transformed into a massive, ever-expanding monster that is designed for its own self-preservation. Government was great until it got rich. And then as money flowed in, so did the corruption and the rent-seeking. The non-essential now dwarfs the essential, and it fights to the death for its survival. That's why, like, you have a temporary spending bill that was supposed to be temporary, but, you know, it's easy to invite, but impossible to evict when you have bureaucrats. And it's funny to see the same people who are marching against no kings, fighting for a ever-increasing government, especially one that tells you how to behave. I mean, under Biden, we actually had a government that invaded your bedroom, invaded your family's bedrooms, invaded your children's locker rooms. You can't get more unessential and intrusive than that. If you are against no king, or against no kings, or for no kings, I forgot what it was, then you should be happy the government's shut down because they're out of your way. Finally, every time Bernie mentions billionaires, we have to point out the hypocrisy and the weakness of that argument. There are 900 billionaires in the United States. You're going to focus all your energy on 900 people when there are 370 million people in the United States. There's probably out of there 1 million criminals, many of them violent on the street. People care about illegal immigration. They care about criminals. These are things that you can score. The billionaires, what are you going to do? The only reason why he says billionaires, because he can't say millionaires. He can't say millionaires. Used to, but he can't because he became one. Now that he's a millionaire, now that Liz Warren's a millionaire, Gavin Newsom is a millionaire, you go down the line, you can't actually incriminate yourself. You know, this is the problem with demonizing the rich. Sooner or later, you're going to want to become one. And then what do you do?
All right, well said, Greg.
Thank you, Jesse.
Not welcome. President Trump gets threatened after nuking narco-terrorists in the Caribbean. President Trump putting new pressure on Democrats to end the 3-week-old government shutdown, meeting with Senate Republicans at a lunch in the White House Rose Garden, and calling on Democrats to, quoting here, stop the madness.
Unfortunately, in a craven and pointless act of partisan spite, Chuck Schumer, who I've known for a long time, and the radical left Democrats are holding the entire federal government hostage to appease the extremists in their party. And they are extreme. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
We have a very simple request. Sit down and negotiate. The American people are aghast Any observer, objective observers, aghast that here on this serious problem, they won't even negotiate with us. So the onus is on them to sit down. But that is why we have urged, Hakeem and I have urged Trump to sit down with us and seriously negotiate before he goes away.
And with that, let's bring in a senator who was at the White House lunch, Louisiana Republican Bill Cassidy, chairman of the Health, Labor, and Pensions Committee. Senator, great to have you on the show. It's interesting there because you have this dynamic where you had John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, saying, look, there's nothing to negotiate, and Chuck Schumer now saying, all we want them to do is sit down and negotiate with us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are, it's kind of interesting. It's a catch-22. We actually can't write legislation as long as Congress is out of session. So the Schumer shutdown shuts down the ability to write legislation to reopen government to make healthcare more affordable again. So Schumer, if you will, has got himself in a trap. I think for the president, it's been easier to negotiate with Hamas than it has been with Chuck Schumer. We need them to end a shutdown. Let's get to work.
You talk about a trap here, Senator. I want to put this on the board because this is the Reuters poll that just came out, and they're talking about, the approval rating. Look at this. You have Republicans. Who do you blame for the government shutdown? Republicans, 50%. Democrats, 43%. So, you think the Republicans all that I talk to say, look, we've got a winning hand here. The Democrats are losing this, but then the numbers tell a bit of a different story. What do you make of that?
Well, first, if you ask, should Democrats shut down the government for the Affordable Care Act or for Obamacare, their numbers look far worse. Let me say that. But Republicans are focused on decreasing the cost of health care. Right now, what Democrats want, healthcare costs have skyrocketed, and they want to paper it over on the Obamacare exchanges with subsidies. If you're a small business, you're still paying through the nose. If you are anybody but on a subsidized exchange, you're paying more.
We're going to lower those premiums.
Well, the point being that under the Democratic plan,
the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are.
Argentina's fighting for its life.
Like the video, like the video.
You're aware of what's going on. Argue amongst yourself, because I'm not going back and forth with none of you MAGA bots on social media today.
What they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slobodanopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. They paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong. And, when somebody does what's wrong. Now, with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
I'll tell you something. If he wasn't the president, he'd be one of my favorite supervillains. Okay.
Let's continue. Fair use.
Go up. That's the kind of, oh my gosh, bait and switch. If you are a small business paying for premiums, what the Democrats are proposing does nothing for you. It may make your situation worse. Republicans actually want to lower the cost of health care. But by the way, as long as the Schumer shutdown keeps going, we can't work on it because the people who helped write the legislation are furloughed. So if Schumer ends the shutdown, we can actually begin to lower those premiums and to lower the cost for everybody. We want healthcare costs to decrease, and we want to do for that like we did for energy costs. Bring them all down, important to the American people. In the shutdown, let's get to it.
Hey, child, you know me.
Like the video, fair use, reaction clip.
In the shutdown, let's get to it.
Interesting because Jonathan was not, he was asked a couple of questions. He had some others answer some questions there, but basically it was nothing about the potential of using the nuclear option, which of course would drop the 60 vote threshold down. What do you think of that option?
It goes around and comes around. If Republicans want to end that, Democrats will do it next time. And I feared what Democrats would do tremendously. Just think of all the missions they could do: slash the military, make Washington, D.C. a state, giving 2 more Democratic senators, changing voting rights, and so it would be very against the people in the red states. So that, what goes around comes around. But if you end the Schumer shutdown, Republicans and Democrats can get to work to actually lower health care costs as opposed to paper them over on the Obamacare exchanges. That's what Democrats want. We want to lower cost.
I got to go, Senator. Thank you for your time. But how did the gathering go with the president today?
It went really well. The president's gracious as always. Got my signed Gulf of America hat, and so it was a lot of fun. More importantly, connected with the president about how we go forward, and that's the most important thing we did.
Senator Bill Cassidy, Louisiana. Senator, thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's a lunch for the Senate Republicans while they brainstorm.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Get into some hot topics, trending topics. Kendall's being called out. We're going to get into that. Oh, let's go here. So like the videos, you guys come in. Trump's being called out by Charlemagne. Many people are questioning, even though they're fake, the Kardashians are putting the children in media. let's be very clear. The Kardashians are putting the children in the media. Why are they not giving the kids more privacy? Why are they not giving the kids more privacy? Of course, North is on media. And even though these are fake tattoos, North's being talked about. And we know that the Kardashians love to trend. They love to trend. They love to go viral. And are they teaching the kids the same thing? Trend, go viral, have people talk about you, communicate about you. And think about it in regards to Kanye. Kanye is probably so upset that she's in media this much, because you got to remember, Kanye had talked about, stop putting my child on TikTok. Now she's got her so used to media, because we know every week the Kardashians want to be trending every week. So are they teaching North the same thing? She's a young girl, beautiful girl. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nothing against. But at some point, you know, Kim's being called out. She allowed her to post it. And like she said, some of her friends are doing the same thing. So well wishes to North, Kim, Kanye. But you know, Kanye's been quiet and he hasn't said much. Beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. Nothing against
my brother
North.
used to date Kendall Jenner, and I will never forget the time we were all, like, as a family, we were all sitting around playing Cards Against Humanity. And she was like, I'm gonna bake some cookies. First of all, you're Kendall Jenner. Why don't you guys have a chef? We saw you cutting up cucumbers. You don't know how to cook. So she's like, I'm gonna bake some cookies. So she starts, like, ready-made cookie dough. So you really don't have to do much, but, like, put it in the right place at the right time. Like, the only thing that you need to do is chop them up evenly. No, stop, because I have never seen so many uneven cookies. Like, what? What in tarnation? You really, if you don't call your chef to come and cook these cookies for you? Anyways, it was just hilarious because they're just all, the Kardashians, the Jenners, like, weird. And I know, I was sitting next to her.
So I'm wondering if Ben is going to respond to tell his sister to chill out. Check this out. K's and J's don't like that. They'll either, I've seen it, the K's and the J's don't like it. Either she going to have to make an apology or she going to have to wear some of their stuff or promote their stuff. I've seen people talk about the K's and the J's, and somehow, some way, years later, those people are promoting their stuff. I've seen it. Go back and look at the video in regards to Snoop Dogg talking about the girls. Talking about the girls, the promotions, going on a award show, and then here's Rob doing nothing. How about 4 or 5 years later, Snoop was in a campaign, baby. Snoop was in a campaign. So they may make you apologize or do something or send you a cease and desist. Let's work together. They may send something like that because they don't like to be embarrassed. So everybody's talking about North. Everybody talking about North. And, you know, we haven't really heard anything from Kanye since the documentary. Now, I'm seeing reports, alleged, I'm seeing reports of whether he wants to run for 2028. Have y'all seen that yet? I've been seeing reports that he wants to run for 2028, seeking world peace. We've seen that if Kanye didn't have the concerns that he had, Kanye 20 years ago, possibly, people would have possibly considered, you know, but now with everything he has going on, I don't think people are going to take it serious. But I get he wants the world peace and he wants to run for, but people know that Kanye has concerns. So Kim had mentioned North wants to try different things. That's cool. But it almost seems as if Kim wants her to grow up so fast. Young children are on media. They are. But it just seems that Kim wants North to grow up so fast. And then you got to remember, go back and look how they portray North on the show. Kim showing her eating an onion like it's an apple. People been calling that out. You didn't have to post that about your child. North trying to grab the drink from Khloe. It was champagne or wine, whatever. North trying to grab the champagne, North eating the onion like it's an apple, sometimes her making comments to her mom, in which kids do come to their mom, but how they portray her on the show, she should be able to do the fashion she want. But everybody's been calling Kim out. And see, Kim will try something and then pull back and apologize. Oh, this is a little too racy. Okay, we already did it. Kim will continue to do stuff to have North turn and go viral. Why not give them more privacy? Why set them up for judgment? You know what I'm saying? And then North slapping the girl on the face on the bus. People continue to question Kim in regards to adults entertaining her. The Ice Spice thing, North sitting on Pete's lap, going on Kai Cenat going to her birthday. This is another, I think she went to, I don't know, event or something. She's hanging out with some guy. I don't know who the rapper is. I ain't looking to it, but people are saying Kanye has to be extremely frustrated. And everybody said, Kanye, it's partly your fault. You knew who you married. You knew they liked media. So, of course, your children are going to be in media. People don't feel bad for Kanye sometimes. It's like you made a choice. You knew who you married. Look at the situation in regards to the Ray J thing. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on. But North is a beautiful girl. Kim's putting her in media. And people are talking about, what can you do? What can you do? Some people won't cover it. Some people will. But here nor there, she's a beautiful girl. And the Kardashians love the trend. Now they're teaching North the same thing. And Kanye has made comments too that he shouldn't have made. Personal information given out about the child. I can't confirm or deny what Kanye said was true. But if y'all did not know, check this out. Kanye had put out a list, and I posted it in my post. Kanye had put out a list of people that portrayed him. Kim being on the list, and he put North on the list. Why would Kanye say his child portrayed him? She's grown up. She's now closer probably to her mom. But Kanye had a lot of people on the list. He had Diddy on the list, and then Kanye came out with another list. So I posted the first list on my in my post, and then Kim called out people that talked about how North would rather be closer to her dad than her mom, but not now. And Kim is saying that was never true. North loves both her parents. So there's that too. Kim called out people that said North, and remember how Kanye said 2 years ago how North got upset and alleged, Kanye said, North start tearing up couches because she wanted to spend time with her dad. So back then, she probably was pressing the issue. Let me go see my dad. Let me go spend time with my dad. Because that was the time she was kind of into the music. You know what I mean? But yeah, the K's and the J's are putting the children in media because everybody's saying the Kardashians are having a rise and fall situation. So how do you not be shaded so much in media? You put the kids with you. Alleged, sometimes the kids are with them doing promotional stuff. And, a lot of, I can't confirm or deny, a lot of people are saying the children shouldn't even be using certain products on their skin. But as them as parents, they can let their kids put whatever they want on their face. Yeah, it's a lot. A lot. So well wishes. I mean, and many people are saying, hopefully when she does become 18, 19, 20, 25, she gets in healthy relationships. It's not going to be a lot of dating issues. She's just going to have healthy. That's what we want. For the younger generation of the K's and the J's, we want to see healthy relationships, healthy marriages. We don't want to see them do what Kim and Khloe and Kylie did. Date to boost your image. Date to clear your image. Date to, be at a basketball game. We'll see what the next generation holds. We understand those girls, Kim, Khloe, Kylie, and Kourtney, was expected to date. Kourtney and Scott, concerning. Kim Kardashian, Ray J stuff, concerning. Khloe Kardashian, Lamar Odom, Tristan Thompson, concerning. Kylie, Tyga. Kylie dated Tyga at what age? And then Kylie, Travis Scott, concerning. Kourtney and Scott. And then Kourtney's now with Travis Barker. But those girls were expected to date. Chris, Bruce, who is now respectfully Caitlin. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. If you're just not coming in, she's shading her. North. Okay, so this is the thing we'll talk about. It's being reported that he called out TMZ in regards to whether he was going to give Diddy a pardon. So we've been getting confusing information whether he was going to, not going to, but he called out. They called out TMZ for the alleged false reporting. Trump don't want to allege pardon Diddy. So let's go ahead and get to the news regarding that. Like the videos, y'all come in. Like the videos, y'all come in. We're just going to do hot topics, trending topics, and get to some news. Kind of a laid back day today. Got to get myself back into the algorithm.
Serving a 50-month prison sentence for violating the Mann Act. Thanks for being with us here on Live Now. We do want to continue on with that story that we're following, as we're now hearing that the White House is pushing back on that report of a possible Diddy pardon. And so right now we know that Diddy is currently behind bars, serving a 50-month prison sentence for violating the Mann Act. He served 13 months so far, and with credit, he could get out in around 2 years. But so let's go ahead and continue that conversation that we're having with legal analyst Nima Rahmani. Nima, we have you back. We should be able to hear you now on this side. But first of all, we've been following this case. You and I have had several discussions since the beginning when Diddy's house was first raided, the trial that was ensuing, and now he's officially been sentenced. But President Trump, according to TMZ, saying that he may consider commuting his sentence. What's your initial reaction to that, and how common are some of these commutations in high-profile cases?
Christina, I'm not at all surprised, and we have been talking about the Diddy case for a year and a half now. And even in the middle of his trial, when Rolling Stone reported it, that his team was angling for a presidential pardon, I said this is part and parcel of the defense strategy here. Look, it's no surprise that President Trump is very liberal when it comes out to presidential pardons, right? All the January 6th defendants were pardoned, as a blanket pardon. And of course, George Santos, just this Friday afternoon, his sentence was commuted. So the president is not...
Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's about now 106 in the building. Please double tap that screen. There's only 10 likes. Let's get the likes up.
When it comes to issuing pardons. And of course, Diddy has significant resources, not just on the lawyer side, but on the lobbying and public relations side. So this is something that has been in the works since the beginning. And when TMZ reported yesterday evening that the pardon was likely to happen this week, I said, look, this is just really the fruition of Diddy and his team's work. Now, something happened in the past 24 hours because, look, TMZ, a lot of folks are critical, but when it comes to entertainment and when it comes to Los Angeles, they really are in the know, believe it or not. They're not just ones to report things that...
Oh my goodness, is that our Ryan? I think so. Like the videos, you guys come in. Hello, Ryan. Long time no see. Nice to see you, buddy. I know it's you. Thanks for being here, Ryan. I hope all is well. There's certain favorites I remember. Thanks for being here, Ryan.
True. So I do believe at some point yesterday, it did appear that Diddy was likely going to have his sentence. And maybe that report coming out from TMZ may have changed the president's mind or the pardon attorney or someone in the...
Yeah, Ryan, I should have went live Sunday. So I got to get myself back in that algorithm. So it's going to be a tough 2 to 3 days.
White House and things went sideways. So certainly not what the defense team wants, but I do believe that it was on its way before the White House said no.
And so, Nima, when it comes to commuting a sentence, can you explain for those at home who are maybe not aware of what that means? What does that look like in the days and weeks after that sentence is commuted? And overall, your record, is it cleared of any of those charges that you've been convicted of?
Christina, if it's a pardon, it's like the conviction never happened. It's completely wiped clean. Commuting your sentence is a little bit different. The felony conviction, usually it's a felony under federal law.
Yes, all is well. Thank you.
Man or woman. So, for instance, we saw George Santos have his sentence commuted on Friday. He was on Fox News, giving interviews over the weekend, on Saturday. So that's how quickly, someone's life can turn around. He was doing cameo appearances over the weekend as well. So if Diddy is pardoned, which is less likely, or has his sentence commuted, he's going to be a free man probably that same day or the following day. Now, if he still has the felony conviction, he's going to have to deal with not having a weapon, not being able to vote, everything that comes along with being a convicted felon. But most importantly, for Diddy and his family, he's going to be out of federal prison.
And so, of course, we know that this isn't the only path that Diddy's legal team is currently working behind the scenes. In fact, it was just on Monday that Combs' legal team also filed a notice of appeal in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. And so, Nima, when it comes to some of the appeal process that Diddy is going to be looking at there, what's the defense's strategy in filing an appeal? Is there usually a typical route that this heads in that direction?
So the appeal was going to be expected. And again, when the defense took such an aggressive stance at sentencing, I thought to myself, they either feel very good about their chances of a successful appeal, or they think that they're likely going to get Diddy a pardon or a sentence commuted. Because oftentimes at sentencing, you're going to want to come in, fall on the sword, accept responsibility. And the defense was pretty aggressive when they were going after some of the victims at sentencing, or at least I thought they were. And that's why Diddy was really slammed and got that 4 to 5 years that I predicted. So when it comes to an appeal, this is how it works. The defense in a federal case has 14 days from the entry of the judgment of conviction in the sentence to file their notice of appeal. But it's just a notice. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to file their appeal brief. So then what will happen is the Court of Appeal, and in this case, the Second Circuit Court of Appeal, will do a couple things. They will order the official transcripts of the case. So the court reporters.
There's a lot that happened during that trial. I'm wondering if the jury feels away of the decisions they've made. And Trump's office has said they have said no such thing, that they're considering it. And maybe Diddy's team wanted TMZ to put that out, that he's considering it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world. Diddy wants to get out. He's still where he's been. He hasn't been transferred. He wanted to go to Fort. I'm not going to say that name. He wanted to go to Fort. And then people are saying that. So I'm kind of cautious of saying it. But he wanted to go to, I want to say New Jersey. And the judge said, no, you have to stay within New York because alleged the civil lawsuits. So there's a lot that's going on. In regards to the civil lawsuits, we can't confirm or deny if those civil lawsuits are even legit. If they don't have police reports, hospital records, some of that stuff's going to be. Diddy probably wants to get out so he can deal with those civil lawsuits outside of being in jail. That's the biggest thing. It'll be difficult for him being in jail trying to deal with these civil lawsuits. Now, if he's out, home confinement, then he can deal with them properly. But it's going to be more expensive if he's in jail, because that means his attorneys are probably going to have to continue to advocate. Now, if he's home, he can do it better in regards to his leisure. But if he's in jail trying to deal with all these civil lawsuits, it's going to be expensive. And then alleged. In regards to the appeal could take up to almost a year. But if he's in the right program, people are saying he can do almost less than 2 years. People are stating. But yeah, TMZ was called out because you got to realize TMZ are friends. I'll say it that way because I can't confirm or deny if some of their stories are kind of, questionable. But TMZ are close to a lot of people and they're friends with a lot of people. And some of these celebrities want certain stories swayed a certain way. So with the White House calling out TMZ, everybody was kind of like, wow, because remember, you guys, it has stated Diddy's looking to get out in 48 hours. Diddy's looking to get out in 24 hours. People were on Diddy watch. But then once the White House said that TM is putting out a false narrative, then a lot of Diddy's hopes were probably demolished, because it's not often that the White House is going to make a statement of what TMZ is saying is false. They don't often do that. But for the White House to say this is not happening, they had to do that. Because think about it, Diddy was probably hopeful and saying, good. People are thinking I'm getting out. People are thinking I'm getting out. And then that's going to sway people to say, oh, yeah, well, and then there's a lawyer that's talking about his appeal and how many people are upset of how the feds did in regards to the charges. Many people are surprised that he did not get the RICO. How did the jury not feel that certain things? He had things in his home, what he had in that hotel when he got arrested, and people are talking about the jury should have never felt, let's get out before the holiday. That should have never even been addressed. Certain things, they should have been able to leave and then come back after the holiday. So they're a little refreshed. Many people feel that the trial went long. There was a lot of repetitiveness. Some people shouldn't have been on the stand for maybe 1 or 2 days. And some of that stuff was repetitive. And it shouldn't have been. And many people feel that the jury was exhausted. And then once it was ready for the holiday, they just wanted to get it done and over with. But if they would have tried to make the decision the week before the holiday, I don't think they would have been as pressed. Many people were like, we're over it. Remember how they had said, alleged, one of the jurors didn't want to follow instructions or having a hard time following instructions. I think they said didn't want to follow instructions. So there was that. And then they had that one backup juror that tried to speak out, but nobody's heard from the jury. Now, do y'all think that the jurors are going to um, do interviews now? Many people thought after he was sentenced, maybe the jurors would do interviews. And maybe the jurors are working on a book deal. Who knows? But we've heard nothing, nothing, nothing from I'm gonna kind of go back and forth in regards to Anonymous and Ryan. But we've heard nothing from the jurors. And then you have lawyers that say, you know, the Mann Act, it's an old act. And then people are like, but look at all the stuff that happened. And you got to remember, he wasn't on trial for certain things in regards to Cassie. They made a lot of stuff about Cassie. They made a lot of stuff about Cassie and other women, Mia and the Jane Doe. But people were upset about how the feds presented certain situations and the repetitiveness. They were just upset, and we get it. We get it. There was a lot that happened during that trial. And then this is the other thing I need y'all to understand too. The judge has more information than that's been put out there. A lot of documents were redacted. What does redacted mean? That means that the judge can see everything, but a lot of stuff was blacked out. A lot of names were protected. And this is the other thing. What about all these celebrity friends he had? What about all the videos? What's in all those videos? You know what I'm saying? They're just putting out the video about him and Cassie. So him and Cassie never had any other situations at the home where he was maybe disrespecting her. Come on. There has to be more video and stuff. So it's very interesting of how things unrolled. Now, you got to remember, they kept a lot of his videos. They kept a lot of Diddy's tablets, phones. They kept a lot of that. A lot of that stuff, Diddy's friends are in videos, conversations, recordings. If he had recordings in his home, the feds could hear different conversations he was having with his friends on the phone conversations. So the feds know a lot too. The feds know a lot, and the judge knows a lot. And a lot of stuff was redacted. So we'll see what happens in regards to the civil lawsuits. Will it have police reports? Will it have doctor reports? Will it have factual stuff? Because if not, you know what I'm saying? And then remember how I wonder this too, you guys, catch this tea. I'm wondering if any Diddy's phone calls, somebody gonna start releasing that. Remember how when he was in jail, the first 2 or 3 months, he talked about get rid of the pizza boxes and certain stuff. We got to be careful, because was that legit? Did he really say get rid of the pizza boxes, or was that AI? That's the other thing too, that for us YouTubers, we got to be careful because there's so much AI stuff out there. We got to be able to differentiate between real and fake news. But there is a lot going on. And this is the other thing. I watch pages that talk about the legal documents, and certain stuff is redacted. And I like to listen to pages that talk about some of the legal documents and some of the stuff that's redacted and what is showing before the redaction and after the redaction. Because some of these pages, yeah, they go through the transcripts. Girl, I can't sit and watch nothing for 6 hours, 7 hours. I ain't got time. I got other stuff going on. But I listen to certain legal pages that break down stuff within a 30-minute period, hour period. I have to literally sit and listen to certain things, even though I don't cover the transcripts or the all the redactions. I listened so I could tell y'all. But I'm sure a lot of y'all listen to the legal pages too, but there's a lot going on. The judge knows a lot about Diddy. He knows a lot about Diddy. And then certain things the judge was allowing in court, certain things he was saying, I'm not going to allow that. There was a lot of sidebar. But yeah, about 2 weeks ago, Remember, I had told Paris, go look up this page because they're talking about redaction and what the judge saw. And that was a big day. But certain stuff I cover, certain stuff I tell y'all, certain stuff I tell y'all to go look up because I don't want to put it out because I don't have, the actual legal documents. I could screenshot it and then show y'all, but 2 weeks ago, that was the interesting thing about what Judge Subramanian saw in some of those redacted documents. So you got to realize there's transcripts and then there's documents that's presented to the court that the lawyers are presenting to the judge. So there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that's going on. So I'm wondering if the judge is really upset about how the jury handled this whole case regarding to Diddy. Many people were like, they didn't see the racketeering. And maybe some of the charges should have been broken up a certain way. But what was in his home, the scratched off serial numbers, the substances in regards to what he had in his room the day he got arrested, that's a lot. That's a lot. Let's continue. Fair use ration clip.
Have to prepare certified transcripts for the appellate courts to review on appeal, and then they will set a briefing schedule. The parties will file written briefs. First, the defense will file an opening brief. The government will file an opposition. The defense will have a chance to file a reply, and sometimes the Court of Appeal will allow for a surreply, which is a reply by the government. Expect the following legal arguments in Diddy's appeal. They're going to attack both the conviction and they're going to attack the sentence. Here's how they're going to attack the conviction. We know that he was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering, so that's not an issue. When it comes to prostitution, Christina, the defense is going to make two primary arguments. The first is going to be because Diddy didn't actually participate in the sex acts. Cassie, Jane, and others did. He cannot be found guilty of prostitution. Now, the government's going to argue, well, no, he was facilitating the prostitution.
He was facilitating, but didn't he check this out, didn't he rub some of those juices on him? So that's participating. If you told Cassie, I'm trying to be general, if you told Cassie to bring that juice to you and rub it on your chest, that is participating. If you're in the corner pleasuring yourself, that is participating. But I guess how the law was written, come on, everybody. He controlled the money. Think about when Cassie's mother had to give Diddy a certain amount of money. Remember how he had talked about he was going to release stuff on Cassie? And then Cassie's family had to come up with the money to give Diddy. So how Cassie was treated was not good. But since certain charges fell, a lot of people were like, the feds. People were mad about the feds of how stuff was presented. But if you are in the corner watching and stroking, and if you are all asking her to bring you the juices, you did participate. Hello?
And that's enough, even if you didn't participate in the sex acts. The second argument the defense is going to make is that it really wasn't prostitution at all. Because Diddy was videotaping the sex acts, he was making homemade pornography, and that is protected by the First Amendment. So that's how they're going to attack the prostitution convictions, the Mann Act convictions themselves. Then they're going to attack the sentence as being excessive. And the primary argument they're going to make is that the court improperly considered acquitted conduct. Now, this is an area of the law that has been shifting over time. Historically, judges could consider acquitted conduct. And there was a change made to the federal sentencing guidelines last year that really said judges should not consider it. So this is the type of issue that may go not just to the Court of Appeal, Christina, but may make its way all the way to the Supreme Court. There's even some of the conservative justices on the Supreme Court that have taken issue with judges considering acquitted conduct in sentencing.
I'm glad you brought that up because the Supreme Court, of course, we follow that closely here on Live Now from Fox. The highest court in the land has been making landmark decisions, overturning what we've seen as sort of press.
You better believe Diddy wants to try and clear his record. He wants to try and clear his record. So that way, if somebody else trying to get him involved in stuff, he wants to clear his record, period.
In the last few years. And so, Nima, as we're continuing to focus on what could happen there and come down the pipeline, really lastly here, I want to talk about the impact that Diddy has, the celebrity that he has. We talked about that Aspen case. Do you think that that could have any influence on this appeals process as well, or even on the possible, even though the White House is pushing back on it, is commutation of the sentence?
Absolutely. And say what you want to say about Donald Trump. He has pardoned a lot of high-profile rappers, right? Folks like Lil Wayne, Harry
Anonymous, you're funny.
He is a celebrity in and of itself. So to the extent that you have a celebrity defendant, someone who's as well connected as Diddy is, someone with the financial and other resources that he has, there's no question that the president is going to be more likely to commute his sentence, not because other folks aren't deserving. It's just this is the type of defendant that can get the president's attention. So everything really seems to be lining up because The reason I predicted that Diddy would be pardoned or have his sentence commuted is he was only convicted of prostitution. He was convicted by Maureen Comey, who of course is James Comey's daughter. We know how the president feels about the former FBI director. He of course is now being prosecuted by Lindsay Halligan, the new U.S. attorney in Virginia. The president hasn't seemed to like the Southern District of New York where Diddy was prosecuted. So everything seemed to line up for a potential presidential pardon and Diddy's sentence being commuted. But of course, we know that it all depends on the president and it's solely his decision. There's nothing anyone can do to prevent it from happening, and there's nothing anyone can do to make it happen, as we saw when Joe Biden was president and he pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. This is truly something that's solely within the discretion of the president of the United States.
It'll be something certainly to watch here on Live Now from Fox. Again, legal analyst Nima Rahmani being with us here today to break down this latest news. Nima, if anything changes, we're going to call you, we're going to reach out, and we'll talk about it then as well. So we appreciate you for joining us here this evening on Live Now from Fox.
Of course, Christina, you know I'm on speed dial. Call me as soon as there's news. I'll be here talking about it.
Perfect. All right.
Nobody believed me at first, but now everybody wants one. My wife roasted me for buying these magic pillows online. She said I got scammed, but 3 nights later, her chronic neck pain was gone. This pillow is called the Derla Ergo. What makes this pillow special is that it uses a unique ergonomic design that supports the neck and aligns the spine, improving your sleep quality. If you're
like the video, fair use reaction clip. Let's continue with some news. Let's see. Okay. Like the video as you guys come in.
Another day, registered trademark, and the completely powerless Republican. Some could see the speaker swearing in Representative Adelita Grijalva to be the right thing since she was elected, and she's also the deciding vote to force a vote on the Epstein files. And Republicans say they totally want that. But on the other hand, maybe not swearing her in and telling Americans this is the right thing.
The evidence we've gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way.
Oh my God, that's such great news. I just feel bad for those people in the past who could have used James Comer's distinguished level of investigative prowess. You know, how other people who were wrongfully implicated in crimes like Madoff, Weinstein, and Cosby. What's so sad about the Republican Party is that they're not just treating Americans like they're dumb. They're trying to pretend that they're dumb too. Do you owe it to the American people to at least be negotiating?
Well, I think we are. We have negotiated. I don't know what there is to negotiate.
What else is there to negotiate? We cut healthcare funding, healthcare costs go up. End of negotiation. I mean, my God, I wonder if John Thune pretends to be that stupid when he's in a fight with his wife. Honey, I'm not really sure what else I can do for you. I've been more than willing to hear you out on all the mistakes you've made. On multiple occasions, I've let you carry my golf bag in from the car, and I've used the communication tools that our therapist recommended to express how much I despise your side of the family. So, I'm not really sure what you want me to do here, babe. As many of you know, I mean, except for John Thune, the government shutdown is over the ACA healthcare subsidies for millions of Americans that Republicans cut. Republicans claim that they'd be more than willing to negotiate on them, but only if the Democrats would vote to open the government first, thereby relinquishing all the leverage that would be needed to actually get those healthcare concessions that they want. Of course, Democrats want to extend them so that more Americans can receive healthcare, while Republicans want to keep saying the same thing that they've said for years.
You know, let's bring free market competition back into the healthcare industry. Let's bring back, way more consumer choice. Rick Scott, an expert in healthcare, right? He's working with people like myself, leadership, the White House. Let's design the Republican plan.
Yes, excellent choice. Rick Scott truly is an expert when it comes to healthcare, but mostly on the fraud side. See, back before his failed bid to play Voldemort, Scott led a company called Columbia HCA, which faced a federal fraud investigation over Medicare. And over the course of the FBI's investigation, Scott resigned as CEO of HCA Hospital, took part in a civil deposition where he asserted his Fifth Amendment rights 75 times. His company pled guilty to 14 felonies and was fined $1.7 billion, which at the time was the biggest Medicare fraud case in American history. So, sure, expert. The Republican Party is in such lockstep with their lies about being good faith negotiators on these healthcare subsidies that Donald Trump even hosted them at the White House today to reward them for so diligently keeping up the con.
Well, this lunch this afternoon is about thanking Republicans for staying on the same page, about singing from the same sheet of music. There are a few Republicans who are worried about the Obamacare subsidies ending at the end of the year and what that means politically down the road, and they've talked about that. But they're saying the president is ready to negotiate on that point, right? But you have to open the government first.
Why on earth would Democrats trust this president in any negotiation ever? Trusting Trump at this point would be like the Amazon guy trusting Diddy that the crate of baby oil he's delivering is for moisturization purposes. And by the way, of all the things to trust Trump on, healthcare is not one of them.
But if we can end Obamacare and come up with a much better healthcare system that's much cheaper and much better, which is what we'll do. We're going to have a healthcare plan that's going to be second to none. I want to have a great healthcare bill and plan, and we will.
I made this kit for women that want to try makeup but don't know where to start. To celebrate the 5 years, we have 5 exclusive products. I'm very excited about this year's Bobby kit. There are 2 different colorways. I'll tell you about the first one, which has the illuminator in baby pink, which can be used all over your face for illumination. We have a mini Miracle Balm in chic. We also have a new pencil, and it is espresso, the sister between brown and black, the eyeshadow sticks. You guys are gonna love these, and this color is my favorite color. It's called smoky brown. It is the perfect way to get like your daytime smoky look. And
I want to have a great healthcare bill and plan, and we will.
My God, Donald Trump's lies are so silly and childish. I'm surprised Matt Gaetz hasn't tried to fuck him. Lying is in Donald Trump's blood. Why do you think his ankles are so swollen? Those socks are filled with lies that have nowhere else to go. Today, Trump was asked about his demand to be compensated $230 million by the Justice Department, i.e. taxpayers, for the federal investigations into him, and he had this trustworthy response.
As far as all of the litigation and everything that's going to go up, yeah, they probably owe me a lot of money. But if I get money from our country, I'll do something nice with it, like give it to charity.
How nice. I wonder if he'll not donate that money to the same veterans charity that he stiffed years ago. We are not dealing with some good faith negotiator here. I mean, hell, this guy can't even keep his word on a little home renovation.
Can you help us understand why we're seeing this demolition, considering the president said it would actually add to existing structures, this new wall?
This was a bit of a surprise to many, especially the scope of the demolition that you're looking at. That is the historic East Wing of the White House. Back in July, when President Trump was talking about this ballroom project initially, he said that the ballroom wasn't even actually going to be touching the East Wing, so nothing there would change. But then a couple of days ago, he reversed that.
He reversed that? Is this like that time Lance Armstrong reversed his position on doping? Donald Trump does not reverse anything. He lies, he deceives, he spews nonstop shit. There's no reversing. Even when he does want to go in reverse, the gear shift has little L for lies. By the way, I'm well aware that the President of the United States does not drive his own car, and even if he did, it wouldn't be a stick. Mostly because he'd had a lot of trouble shifting, what with his tiny hands. Every single day since Republicans shut down the government, they stand in front of a podium and declare,
we're just trying to do the right thing.
But it's crucial to focus on what they believe the right thing is. To them, using the government shutdown as political leverage while everyday Americans are about to see healthcare premiums skyrocket is the right thing. They think cutting $1 trillion from healthcare, which will hurt 11.8 million Americans, is the right thing. And this is the party that believes not swearing in an elected member of Congress as a way to protect Donald Trump's association with a pedophile is the right thing. Republicans have cut billions in federal funding from healthcare, from education, from food assistance, from science, from disaster relief. So I frankly understand why they're not opening the government, because the only thing that they see its use for is tax cuts for billionaires. This is not a party who wants to provide for the citizens of their country. Mike Johnson said it himself.
And they go before cameras incredibly, and they just lie to the American people over and over. It's a stunning thing to watch.
It sure is.
Like the video, fair use. Reaction clip. Let's continue.
If you're currently
like the videos, you guys come in. We're just doing hot topics, trending topics for today. Busy day.
Protector of a pedophile ring is starting to get on Mike Johnson and House Republicans' nerves. This should answer that question.
Your party continues to hit all-time historic lows in poll after poll after poll, and many of you have reported on that. These are objective facts. They're utterly lost as a party, and everybody can see it. So what are they doing? They see a shiny object, and they latch onto it. Democrats did not say one word about the Epstein files for the entire Biden presidency. They had all the files in the Biden DOJ. They didn't say a word about it. 4 years, not a word. And suddenly now, they somehow convince themselves that the Epstein files will be damaging to President Trump and Republicans in some way that they've imagined. And so they feign outrage.
Let's be clear. Democrats don't care about transparency or accountability in this matter. The evidence we've gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way. Public reporting, survivor testimony, and official documents show that Bill Clinton had far closer ties to Epstein.
The evidence we gathered does not implicate President Trump in any way, which is why we decided to unilaterally prevent the release of all of that evidence, why 1,000 FBI agents were signed to redact Trump's names from the files, why the House has been out of session for 2 months now, and why Mike Johnson refuses to swear in Adelita Grajova, despite her election being certified 3 weeks ago. But other than all that, trust them when they say that Donald Trump is definitely not implicated in any way. Or how about Mike Johnson claiming that the Democrats have convinced themselves that the Epstein files will be, quote, damaging to President Trump and Republicans in some way that they've imagined, and so they feign outrage. Damaging in some way? Dude is in the Pam Bondi told Trump that he was in the files. Elon Musk announced to the world that Donald Trump was in the files. The files are so damaging that Mike Johnson won't even call the House into session because he's too afraid to allow them to be released. Damaging in some way, Adelita Grijalva is begging to be sworn in. Here's her today trying to get the attention of the Speaker Pro Tem to be able to start doing her job.
Pursuant to Clause 13 of Rule 1, the House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. on Friday, October 24, 2025.
But yeah, I wonder why the Democrats could possibly have gotten the idea that the Epstein files are somehow damaging to Trump. Truly one of life's great mysteries. But the most shameless part of all of this is that amid the gaslighting, amid the obfuscating, this is what Mike Johnson is saying on the other side of his mouth.
These ladies who've come forward, they estimate there may be as many as 1,000 young women who were subjected to these heinous crimes. And many of them have chosen not to come forward and show their faces and reveal their names because it would compound the harm that they've already suffered. And so we want to protect those people. That's the sum total of all of this. That's our responsibility. And short of that, we want maximum transparency. And that is exactly what the American people are getting right now.
Let me remind you, the House has been out of session for 2 months because Mike Johnson's sole goal in life is to serve as Donald Trump's errand boy and prevent the release of those files for Trump. He refuses to let the 218th vote on the discharge petition get sworn. All the while, he stands up there and says that he wants maximum transparency. Yes, you've never seen transparency like this. Transparency like a cement wall is transparent. You'd have to duct tape your eyes shut to get this level of transparency again. I mean, I'm sorry, but who is Mike Johnson fooling here? Honestly, who is this for? Who is dim enough to believe that the same party falling over itself to prevent the release of the Epstein files is somehow the party that is striving for full, maximum transparency?
When you think Epstein files is a hoax, bro,
The fucking Epstein thing is just
nothing but a hoax.
It's just I don't even understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. It is the easiest political victory. Like if you just
it is, but it isn't. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not supporting anything. Just be really clear, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But if you have relationships with all these insanely wealthy people that are going to be severely impacted by this, like this is the ultimate political football. Because I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know who the people are, but I've heard things. And if those things are true, you're dealing with some of the most powerful people in the world, some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Look, if you're a Republican voter, don't you see how much contempt your elected officials have for you? Can't you see how stupid they think you are? If they want to cover for a pedophile ring, that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they choose to do, but at least have the balls to own your own position. At least don't gaslight the people who voted for you right to their faces. As it relates to Epstein, this has been Republicans' game plan from the very beginning. They all swept into office promising up and down that they're there to deliver real transparency to the American people on Epstein. They're not going to let those powerful elites who've done horrific things to children get away with it anymore. Cut to, the guy they all work for is literally in the files, and all of them are falling over themselves, not to expose those people, but to protect them. The polar opposite of what they promised on the campaign trail. And the worst part is that they're still acting like they did us some favor by being transparent when they themselves are the sole impediment to the release of those files. And frankly, it's not just the Epstein files. Trump and Republicans promised to bring down costs, to lower inflation, to make IVF free, to end the Russia-Ukraine war, to make groceries cheaper, housing cheaper, rent cheaper, to protect earned benefits. They've done none of that. You know what they've done? They've cut Medicaid from 17 million Americans. They've launched a trade war that sent the cost of everything surging. They are right now ensuring that healthcare for anyone who gets ACA subsidies will double, triple, or quadruple. And amid all of that, what is Donald Trump's focus? A $200 million ballroom. A new jet courtesy of Qatar and retrofitted on the backs of American taxpayers to the tune of $1 billion. A gold-adorned Oval Office. A couple of private jets for Kristi Noem. And just today, a demand to the DOJ that they pay him $230 million as compensation for the DOJ rightfully indicting him after he tried to steal the 2020 election. That is who Donald Trump is looking out for. Trump and his pals. He swept into office promising to look out for everyone else, and now that he's in office, is solely focused on himself. He used your votes to give himself power so he can use that power to help himself and fuck everybody else over. I spoke to Glenn Kirshner about exactly that point.
My take is that this is exactly who Donald Trump is and has always been. You know, I think the more pressing question that we need to ask right now is when, if ever, will any of the Republicans in Congress put a stop to Donald Trump's destruction of the institutions?
Here's why your knee pain keeps coming back, and the easiest way to fix it without pills, shots, or surgery. I'm going to show you something about your knee that most doctors never explain, and it could save you from years of agony. Look closely at this knee model. Your knee
like the video.
Donald Trump's destruction of the institutions of government, destruction of American democracy. You know, not to jump to another story, Brian, but when we saw splashed all over the front page of newspapers, both nationally and internationally, Donald Trump destroying portions of the White House, not even putting up screening to block
the view from the public. I worked for decades in downtown DC, and I can tell you, when we have these kind of demolition and reconstruction projects on government buildings, you know what they do? Just as they did when they worked on the Federal Reserve building, they put screening up to block. If Donald Trump wants everybody to see his authority, his power, his abuse, and he's tearing down historic portions of the White House just because he can. That's the perfect metaphor
and I
for
will
what
say
he's doing
this,
to every damn institution of government. He is taking a sledgehammer to it. He is destroying it because that sends the signal that he's all powerful, at least in his estimation, and nobody better buck him, including perhaps most importantly, the Republicans in Congress, who literally have the power to cross the aisle and save the republic by impeaching and removing him. So I think the question that I am forever asking, and I will never stop asking because I will never give the Republicans in Congress a pass, because it looks to me like they're complicit in Donald Trump's attempted destruction of the institutions of the federal government. When will enough be enough? How much does he have to steal from the American taxpayers? How much does he have to hurt the constituents of every single Republican in Congress before they say enough is enough?
And of course, to watch my legal breakdown episodes with Glenn or any of my other content, please subscribe to this channel. It is and always will be 100% free, and is a great way to support me and independent media more broadly. The reality, though, is that these Republicans will only continue lying so long as they feel that it's acceptable to do so. So the sooner Republican voters decide to speak out and stop giving these pedophile protectors a pass, the sooner we'll see these bad faith lies that they spew come to an end. But clearly, they're not there yet. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel.
Like the video, like the video.
On the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity.
Okay, you guys. We did the show. I'm gonna have to try and get back into the algorithm the best way I could, best way I can. Monday, people were struggling with streaming. We would post and then the videos it was buffering. So it's going to take me a minute to get back into the algorithm, but I'll get back into it. I should have went live Sunday. Had too much family stuff going on. But thanks for tuning in. If you did not hit subscribe, please hit subscribe. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Like the video as you guys come in. Subscribe to the page. I hope everyone has a great day. I have some things I have to take care of. And I appreciate all you. Have a great day. Be blessed. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful.